dance at St Matthew's was their very first date. He went on to marry Mary in 1948. He was a bit of a lad, of marriage he was wary, but he kept coming back to that something about Mary. He raised all these mandarins in his George Street fruit tray, like Grayson Hall and McCoon, and you can throw into that Mark Gray. Mandarins can be pithy and sometimes rather callous. Like state high boys, they're very tough. Just ask me and Tony Bellis. He had some classy mentors like Nicklin, Hiley and Chalk. He was there to see Vince Gare split from the ALP and walk. But Joe knew what to do when the economy was flat. Just leave it all to Leo, and don't you worry about that. While Leo and John Hall would be cooking up the books, so Joe would be out and about, feeding the chooks. He was going to complete the line. The White Shoe Brigade saw Joe as PM in waiting, while Leo was more worried about our AAA rating. Glenn Poole is another who goes way back then. Where are you, Glenn? Over the back? Yep. Geez, where would he be without his green pen? Jared always had an office next door to Leo. With the parties going on next door, he thought he was in Rio. If you don't want to be straddling Joe's famed barbed wire fence, get yourself a lawyer as sharp as Douglas Spence. He got Leo out of tight spots and dangerous quicksand, like Jerry Bellino in the casino. Hey, where's my 100 grand? I'll tell you that story later. Big Russ, like a bear, would stumble out of his den. Where's that blinking Hielscher? Didn't quite say blinking. He's done us over again. Leo never wavered, never balked at a fight. And Russ always said he was just so friggin' tight. So Lou hit the big time with Expo 88. Just imagine the party if he brought in our hostess, Kate. Sally Ann, where are you, Sally Ann? Over the back. Sally Ann took on Joe over the world's tallest tower. Then she only knows one speed, and that's 100 miles an hour. The Joe era was always destined to end rather sadly. The new Treasury brooms were waiting in DeLacy and Gerard Bradley. The Goss years were short and for some not so sweet when voters in Mundingborough turned up the heat. Keith DeLacy, as a Labor treasurer, was fun to work under. He was followed by David Hamill and later Andrew, the boy wonder. Both out there something. In fact, Leo's seen more treasurers as they come and go than he's had pumpkin scones at Bethany, baked by Lady Flo. Joan Sheldon brought a woman's touch to the Treasury benches, but in the blink of an eye, they were gone again and back into the trenches. As Henry Smurden knows, you need an asset or two to flog when Leo's not there anymore and there's just no hollow log. Mike Ahern had it tough. Mike could be in there. Mike Ahern had it tough while the whole scene was in tatters. He had all the mavericks and some random mad hatters. He never flirted with Grange like Barry O'Farrell. He just went about things with purpose, lock, stock and barrel. Smokey Dawson's joined the party, connoisseur of London's bars. And Damien Greer, our gracious host, divorce lawyer to the stars. There's Jeff Rogers, where are you, Jeff? There's Jeff Rogers, who weaves the spin for Polly's state and federal. And somewhere in the corner, I saw the little general. Mary Wagner flew in from her airport to be here tonight. The last racing tip she gave me got beaten out of sight. And Mel Grierson, who as DG had shoes of pure suede, has moved down to the Gold Coast. He's now White Shoes Brigade. If you're not in the poem, don't let it fester. You know how hard it is to rhyme with Arneson and Rochester? We know, good on you, Steve. We know Leo often haunts Augustine's wine cellar, loves a red wine. He's such a fun fella. Still, I suppose, if you can afford all the whining and dining, if you're taking advice from a man like Dave Tynan. He'd come out of the cellar a little bit tipsy to sober up at Merlot's with Marion Michelizzi. When he really ties one on and he's feeling quite hairy, he seeks some redemption from Sister Angela Mary. So just think as you go over the Sir Leo Bridge, he gets 10% of the toll. And that's Reggie dead. It might not seem like much, but it helps makes ends meet. And as Terry Lewis once said, little fish are sweet. So in the ghostly chamber, Joe looks down with Hinsey by his side. Across the floor, Gossie, Burnsy and Kevin Hooper, all fit to be tied. From the mines in central Queensland to the bridge that bears his name, in Leo's Queensland, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Over to you, hostess.
Yeah, so
Sorry, is it?